gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe, here in this great hall of justice, are the most powerful forces of good ever assembled. Dedicated to truth, justice, and peace for all mankind.
Welcome everybody, Spinner Rack is back, and we're talking about Marvel's finally gotten here. It's finally gotten here. Avengers Infinity War.
A proper
PD,
franchise.
Cal,
A
what's your
proper
take on this,
franchise.
baby? Tell me.
See, this is what a proper franchise
Agenda.
looks like.
It's
You've
agenda.
had more than one film.
It's an agenda right
Okay,
there.
look at you see the Avengers. Okay,
Mr.
you see that
Agenda.
subtitle. That means this is not the first film. Something we're still waiting for from Warner Brothers and the DC mess that they've actually put themselves through. And it's never going to happen on their part. It's never going to happen because they don't know how to do things correctly. That being said, hey, okay, you look at the opening. I think there was something going on the internet where they showed all the heroes. That's straight out of a comic book.
Are you the host? What's
Straight out of a comic
I
book.
just want to let him go and just wring his neck with this stuff. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I've been waiting for this for the longest, okay?
What? I mean, I don't even know
By
what this
you the
is.
man, I'm just saying, God dog, what was it, 2008 this whole thing got kicked off?
Yeah.
You know, 2008, we've been hinting at Infinity War, and it's finally here. This better be the best friggin'
Well, not
movie
2008. Iron Man is 2008. You're talking when the Avengers comes out, so
Yeah.
that's later.
But they've been talking about it before then. Come on, we all knew this is where it's going to lead up to eventually, once Iron Man was successful. And
No, we didn't know that.
Of course we
No, we
did.
didn't.
It was going to
We
be.
knew that they were going to do the Avengers.
Okay,
And
so
then
look.
they did the Avengers and it worked. They had the Thanos, and that's when the Avengers.
Thor, then they had the
into
Thor
that.
Dark World. All right.
The
But
next
Thor-
piece to the puzzle is if the Avengers work as a group, then we can do a bigger story.
You don't think they were planning to do this when they did Thor? You don't
No, I think when they were doing what because of Infinity Stones.
Because they did Thor. Because you saw who gave the thing to Loki at the very beginning.
But that's Thor. I mean,
Yeah, but I'm saying-
Iron Man
They
is
hit
just
it.
you have Iron Man, okay, and then you have Iron Man, you have the Incredible Hulk. Those two films have very little, if any, connection to any of that Tesseract stuff that started coming up later. Okay, none of that stuff right over here. Then you get to Thor, okay. Then you get to Thor, and then you get to Captain America. We start tying that in. Then you get to the Avengers, where it's full blown out, and then we finally see Thanos at the end. To be quite honest, I think they've done it the way they're supposed to. Okay, tell your story. Okay, take the time telling your story. Don't worry about any detractors. That's one of the reasons. I'm not saying this to put the film down, but this is one of the reasons why you don't have Ben Affleck attached to the Batman film in terms of directing.
My God.
Because they won't
Just
give him
go
the
on
time
to
to
the
tell the
film.
story.
Look,
They
listen.
won't give him time to tell the story correctly.
Listen. You know, the problem that we're having here.
I know it hurts. I know.
No, let's think. We're
know.
talking about Avengers, Infinity War.
All
Okay.
we're saying is that, dude, this film, we all agree we're gonna like it, right?
I don't
If
know.
it's based off the story that we originally read. Infinity
That's
War,
not the
it's-
story they're going to tell.
But
they're gonna have to
it
keep
could
some-
be-
it's
it
gonna
could be
have to do
better
with the
than that
Infinity
story
Gauntlet.
because that story was basically.
Now, I hope they do it because I got some Infinity Gauntlet comics that I would love to move.
Oh.
Signed by George Perez. Signed.
So look, this is gonna be, to me, one of the best things out here. Thanos is a larger than life
Too many
character.
heroes. First off, let's start off.
Well, that's what.
They showed you that thing of like 88 heroes.
Yes.
Too many heroes. We already saw with what's that thing with
X-Men?
Civil War. No, with Civil War when you have the characters run. What Josh Whedon did was the way he shot it. He worked having the groups together. The Russos, when they had the group, they had them running, and it was getting a little Watchmen. It was getting a little Batman 66. It wasn't that bad, but it was getting that way with the running. You had to make sure everyone can run. If not, have the camera dolly around them. Move the camera around.
But didn't they do that in Civil War? Didn't you see that when they had
when
to
they
fight?
run
they had to fight?
the head to head.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can
that was a
see
one
who
head-to-head
can
run.
run. That you got to watch.
When they're doing the whole Viking, when they're doing the whole Viking, versus the Saxons,
Yeah.
that's that run right there.
It's hard to do that in superheroes. It's better to do the circle around.
I
and
agree
have them
with
shoot
you.
up. They did do in the second one when they had that shot where they sort of fighting together. Josh Whedon did a really nice one of that. You got to do more of that, not them running, like on one long plane.
But you
I'm
see,
saying
the
too
fact,
many heroes.
but the
That's
fact-
what
but
my
the
issue.
fact that they did
and
it-
not the Wasp. The Wasp isn't in this one. She's in the next one.
okay,
It
but
makes
look,
no sense.
the Civil War, they
That's
did
what I
it with
gotta
all
say.
these heroes. Did it not work when you had all the heroes working?
No,
I thought
it
it
did
did.
not.
You know
It
what I'm trying
did
to say? You had Ant-Man stand out. Spider-Man was a standout on that thing. in the Civil
Captain
War.
America.
You're talking
When
about
they do
that
that battle.
If you're talking about that fight scene right over
Yeah.
there, yeah, that works.
But
I didn't have
that's
any
what we're
problem
talking
with
about. It's going to be hard, of course, naturally, to focus on quite
Why do you
idiot
have
heroes.
Giant Man
But you-
walking around like why did he turn into Giant Man? He's like,
Because it looked cool.
"Oh, no, it didn't." Once he started walking all slow and saying, "Well, logically,"
You were the only uptight
Everyone.
person in the
There you
theater.
go.
Everybody else was
No,
having a
that
good
wasn't-
time.
that's not
PD, it
uptight.
hurts my heart, but I have to
You
side
were
with him,
seeing
bro.
Giant Man in the comic book. He can go from big to small.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, he can't. He has to walk around lumbering. So Spider-Man can
Well,
grab his leg.
actually, he's
walk
moving.
around,
He's moving
like-
fast. But scientifically, if you look at it, it's just
It's
our
not
perception of him. He looks
scientifically.
small. The same way like when you look at an airplane and it's flying through the air and it looks like it's moving slow, but it's moving 600 miles an hour. That's all it is.
But why is Spider-Man moving 3 million miles faster?
Because he's not the same size.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay,
It
so
doesn't make any sense. If he's getting tied up, shrink the Ant-Man size, get out of it. He did that in the comic book when they first faced.
Mm-hmm. But then you don't have the scene. You don't have the scene.
Isn't supposed to be as big as they are, the harder they fall. The
I don't
scene
know.
is that.
I don't know, Pete. This is like little.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
you're kind of nitpicking here.
That's not nitpicking.
I
He's
kind
not
of
there.
agree with him, man.
Kinda
You know, it
nitpicking.
hurts me. It
You're,
hurts me.
you're falling to the sauce. We're not supposed to see.
It was good
Spider-Man-
sauce.
If
It was good
Spider-Man, when
sauce.
They did it,
I don't
if
know how
Spider-Man
good, but-
meets Ant-Man and meets Giant Man, he's going from big to small. And Spider-Man's like, oh, sweat. Like, you're here. And the next thing you know, when he attacks, he gets bigger and small. He can do it. Why are they limiting him?
But they did that in
Because
Ant-Man.
he'd win the
When he
fight
was-
by
when he was
himself.
fighting- when he was-
That's the point.
When he
Why
was
do you
fighting-
have to pull out? I can do it. And then he's like,
You want everybody there. You got some. Not everybody's going to get to. Not everybody's
I
going to
don't
get to go
want
full steam. If that's the
Spider-Man
case, it would have been
taken
over
out.
when Spider-Man webbed over Captain America's shield.
No.
Iron Man just steps back about 500 feet, just does a wide spray of repulsor blast, and the fight's over.
You also like Rhodey, getting crippled?
Are you kidding? Hell no.
No,
Okay,
we
so
don't.
then
But I really hate Rhodey dying in the comics. Thanks, Marvel. Thanks, Marvel.
All right,
So there's issues there.
So, gentlemen, getting back to this. So, what do you think is the critical thing that they need to do to make this movie a success? Name one thing.
What is the movie? We don't know what it is.
It's
yet.
going to be about
That-
the gauntlet, I guess. It means
Right
like
there,
they
right,
come
no,
together.
right there. He needs. We know what the movie is. If you have any familiarity with the Infinity Gauntlet and you read those stories, but the biggest thing, and this I'll give you some credence on the comment that you made earlier. They need to tie up all that stuff that they started. Okay, all those seeds, all those threads. They need to tie that up, and it needs to be tied up definitively. Okay, with this particular film, because they said, if I recall correctly, it was supposed to be 2 films. They're saying they're just doing
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, they need to wrap up everything. It needs to be wrapped up right over here. I don't care about the the extraneous stuff. That they can leave that. I never need to see that again. But all of the major themes that they were running through need to be tied up right here. They need, if they're going to put all these people in the film, everybody needs to serve some sort of purpose. Other than that, you don't need them there. You don't need Spider-Man there
You don't need
just to put them in the film.
Defenders. Don't throw in the defenders.
No,
Keep
we don't
them
need to see
out.
Daredevil or Luke
They're
Cage.
in the picture.
Yeah, but they can't possibly be superhero-powered dudes going
Yeah.
after them.
There we
If
go.
that's the case, all right, then I have to kind of agree with you then. PD, the sauce is
Look,
not that good,
I
bro.
can't say who they're going to put in, who they're going to keep out. But if they're in there, they need to be in there for a. They need to be in there for a good reason. Even if it's just one of those scenes where, look, all the guys up there fighting the superpowered thing, and then you cut and you have like a quick scene of Daredevil saving somebody down and then moving on. Fine. Okay, the same way they would do in the comics, where these guys are like, no, we can't get involved in that, but we can help the people down there. Fine, I don't have any issue, but don't just throw everybody in there to throw everybody in there. But mostly, it needs to end well. You've done a very good job with your beginning. They've had probably one of the best middles in cinematic history in terms of all of these stories where we're not champing at the bit. Let me get to the end. They've been able to tell their story. Now you get to this point, end well. That is the biggest thing that you have to do for me. I believe I'm going to enjoy this. My thing is, how much am I going to enjoy it? And that really comes down to you ending well.
So what about you, PD? What do you think is one of the more critical things that they have to do?
I think what's the name? The Infinity Gauntlet hasn't held up as well as it did when it first came out. I think also reading something Perez said, and of course he said it in the nicest ways, of having the characters be killed and brought back so many times, and then handing off the Silver Surfer almost gets it to Nebula, is a little too much. I mean, I would be okay with just having the Avengers and who's those guys?
Guardians?
Guardians, and have them deal with that, and then you can add in Nebula, some other characters, but don't go too far. Like keep the Avengers 7, more, maybe if you want to do some bits, you can do like press bits of people on the ground doing stuff, but just flashing through, like sort of the way they had in the I think it was one of those Star Trek. I think it's the second Star Trek film where they had the doctor come into first contact, where the ship is about to explode, and the doctor from Voyager just pops up because he's a computer generated thing. Just have little bits like that where you can move on. Yeah. You get to either laugh or say, "Oh, that's cool," and then get out of there. But that's what I mean. It's tough because it's like Marvel has done so much Thanos stuff, and Jim Starlin has done so much Thanos stuff. It's hard to say what would be the earlier ones that they did seem more focused. The idea of him being...
But everything after that first series sucked, quite honestly. The Infinity Gauntlet was good, but then when you start getting the Infinity Wars, the Infinity Crusade, the Infinity Watch, I mean, that's just them sucking at the teat and just going back to the well. I mean, it was just ridiculous at the point.
We know.
Well, no, Civil War 2 isn't even close to the Infinity stories. That first, you have the Infinity Quest, which was these two-part books where Thanos is going and collecting the gems. To be quite honest, for me, that was better than the actual the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Then you go into the Infinity Gauntlet, and if you leave it there, that's actually a great story. But then they go fanboy, where they just can't stop telling the story. Then the Infinity Gauntlet, you start having these alternative stories where the Hulk has it, and there's 2 Infinity Gauntlets as opposed to 1, and then it gets ridiculous. And these are the same guys who complain about the Silver Age, saying, "Oh, it's so silly." But then they don't have anything scaling them back in terms of quality. Not quantity, but quality in terms of the story.
It's called sales. The Infinity Gauntlet.
But Starlin at this point, I know it's big money for him, but the last things he's had to reorganize the power scale at Marvel, because he's like, all right, Thanos knocks around Galactus. Now Annihilus is the new power, and that's more of I know Annihilus has the cosmic rod, but is that more powerful than
Galactus?
Yeah, he knocked him around, knocked off the.
But Marvel loves doing that. Marvel loves to have Squirrel Girl come over here and knock out Eternity along those lines, and it upsets. It really does. It upsets the whole status quo, which I guess they want to. But then again, it's like, well, how serious do I take these characters in terms of the story that you're presenting? If at any point you can just decide to upend the apple cart for no reason other than, it's a fanboy move. Galactus is, for years, decades, Galactus is the most powerful being in the Marvel Universe. I think after maybe the Living Tribunal, and then who would be the one above all, that sort of stuff. Then you have Franklin Richards turning Galactus into a herald, and that sort of. And when you do that, you give him this one cool moment, okay, that everybody scans online, but you've totally undercut decades worth of storytelling when you've done it. So my hope is that when they do stuff like this with the film, they realize, okay, we can still keep our stuff scaled and, still keep our stuff in the pocket, and we have plenty of stories to tell over here. Because a lot of the stuff they do with Marvel, again, this is something else we could talk about later, but it's just like a dearth of creativity from the house ideas when it comes to it, because they are just going back to the well, and it just becomes, okay, let's have 3 Infinity Gauntlets. Let's have an Infinity boot.
But the thing is that,
everyone was stealing the gauntlet post Starlin. It's like, oh, Bendis had a story, some D-bag with long hair, beating up the Avengers and beating up the
That's
Red
Bendis.
Hulk.
Bendis does anything to beat up a superhero.
But that's the thing. If you look at, that's when we were talking about on one of our other episodes about Mary Sue. What's the name? Thanos, especially even in the Thanos quest, becomes like a Mary Sue, because he's sort of like, everyone's stupid with these Infinity gems. I'm not. I can see past what they're doing. And even though Champion is stronger, I'll outsmart him. Okay, I can give you that. But then even the Gardener, he's a dummy.
And not the Gardener, the Collector, the fact that you're getting it from the Grandmaster, those cats, was kind of like, oh, these are like elders of the universe. They're older than you've ever imagined to be, but that was him. Look, this is the story that I'm telling, and a lot of times, the fans just go for it because the moments are cool. We don't think too much into it. At the time I was reading it, I was like, oh, it's just a cool storyline. I was familiar with a lot of the characters, but then they start out. It's like Dark Knight Returns, where it just keeps going on. And it's lived much longer than it should have. And because of that, there's no creativity. Nobody's coming up with anything new or anything fresh, especially since they don't want to, because they know they're not going to get the royalties for it. So they're waiting to do the indie stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had the oxymoron of having Infinity finale. Like Infinity. wait a second. So, I don't know. That's the only thing. And I mean, the Russos, they did couple good Captain America movies. Can't say that the Civil War wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but it was a good movie. It's fun. So I can see them, but they're just overdoing it and giving people. It's not going to be like Batman and Robin, where they are seem like they're giving the studio everything they want, all these characters, all these things, and it's like saying, can we do that in a movie? People say about I think the Avengers and Captain America: Civil War that there were too many characters. That's what we're fighting, and it's also trying to get in the human moment because you see having Zemo, having these human characters is trying to get some sort of humanity into it. And that's the harder thing to do when you have 3 main characters.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why in Phase 4, the goal is no longer to do these huge superhero movies, but more like a team up. Marvel team up like the old Spider-Man.
Like
You mean
Thor and Hulk.
Yeah,
that's what
Thor and Hulk.
That's what they wanted. Well, they're doing that in Ragnarok. Thor
Right, but I'm
Ragnarok.
saying that's the plan. That's what they're doing. The smaller team ups. You know what I'm trying to say? So
Well, at some point, I would love to see a superhero versus a supervillain again.
Yeah.
That was the biggest complaint I had with Captain America: Civil War, where this is all supposed to be orchestrated by this villain, and I said, this guy doesn't look like he has. That's supposed to be Baron Zemo.
Yes.
That wasn't Baron Zemo. If it was Zemo, I could get it, but this is just some dude who got angry and decided he was going to pull all this stuff off. And, it's 2 hours of heroes fighting each other.
okay, but that's just that.
I have a problem with it. It's not. No, it's not.
It's just
They've been doing
one
that
film.
since the Avengers. Okay, they have been doing that since the Avengers.
Right,
They've been
but
fighting each other since the
But the
Avengers.
Avengers, they fought who? Who do they fight in the Avengers?
Who, Loki?
Yeah.
Loki had them fighting each other.
Right, but I'm just saying there was a villain, a real villain, unlike in the
Aside
bad
of Loki,
Zemo.
there's no other villain.
Well, I don't know.
There is no other villain besides Loki.
I'm
They won't
hoping
bring
that
back.
the Infinity War does have more villains in it other than Thanos.
We had Ultron in the second.
I thought they were going to
Age
bring
of
back the
Ultron.
Red. I thought they were going to bring back the Red Skull.
Yeah,
which,
they
to be
did.
quite
Dropped
honest,
that.
if it was the Red Skull, in Captain America: Civil War, that would have made a lot more sense because he could have been planning this stuff for years.
And it could be like
Yeah.
feel like it was closure from the first one. 'Cause
Right.
there was no payoff in the first one. It
He
was
just,
like
you have no idea what happened
he
to
lost
him.
every battle.
I know.
He's like, we'll meet up again, Captain America. We'll meet again. And it's like you got this great.
It was like
actor.
Skeletor and He-Man. Let me just run through that portal. You'll never catch me. But there's no. I mean, forget about the Warner Brothers films. The Marvel films. Literally, the villains have been disposable. And without a villain look at when you have Loki, a villain who can come back, continue to put them through their paces, has some history, so you understand why he keeps going after them. Okay, gets caught, is able to escape, or what have you. Yeah, it works. It does some really good stuff. And I'm not saying it has to be a cookie cutter villain where they're just evil. Okay, you can give him some layers. I don't really need it, but you can give him some layers. But here we haven't had anything.
Yeah, but
Thanos, I'm
who-
hoping, changes that.
But who wants a villain like that all the time? I mean, like in
What?
X-Men,
We haven't gotten it.
We haven't gotten
Like
it.
in X-Men, we have Magneto, who's now turned, basically. I mean,
He's not a
remember-
villain. He's an
never
anti-hero
been.
most of the time, or he's an
anti-hero.
X-Men.
X-Men.
I don't know, man. He kills people. He's a bad guy. You know
No,
what I'm
because
trying to say?
someone kicked his cat. So
Yeah.
I mean his daughter. Someone killed his daughter.
He's like John Wick.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
First
all
film, you killed my
need.
dog. Second film, you killed my cat. I'm gonna kill you.
That's the
So
that's
is
the
that enough
basic-
for you to just go berserk wild in the world? I mean, in essence, that's what Thanos does.
John Wick is
But
on
no,
the
because-
edge already.
You
He's
got to
on
look,
the edge.
but you have to look at Professor Xavier as opposed to Magneto.
Right.
Okay. Professor Xavier, gets crippled. He loses the loss of his leg. He could easily become a supervillain.
Yeah.
Easily.
But he doesn't.
Exactly. That's the difference between the superheroes and the supervillains. That's what we're supposed to be seeing through these films, and we're supposed to be examining about the human condition and about our own humanity. We're not doing that. We're taking good people, okay, and we're having them fight good people. And literally, while they're fighting each other, what are the evil guys doing? They're getting elected to public office.
Right, but you're saying what?
Well, no,
But you're saying Magneto is considered. You consider him good people too?
No, he's a
but like the
villain.
movie-
But they don't show him as a villain half the time.
If you think of Magneto as far as the early comics, it's sort of the same rhetoric as Hitler. So he's saying, hey, you've had dominion over the planet for too long. I'm wiping you guys out. And he doesn't have any reason, and not because it's not like the Submariner. He's just like saying, we're the top. You're like, was it like caveman? It's over. That's where he comes in. Professor Xavier's on the other side, as he was always saying, is like, hey, I'm here. I'm protecting. I'm stopping I'm stopping mutants, and I'm training them at the same time. They're like, hey, we're good. They have the outfit, so you see them. They're helping. Like the second issue, you see the X-Men helping. Everyone's like, wow, you guys are great. even though they're feared and hated, you know, by what they're sworn to play. And that's what people forget. It's easy to do. It's easy to turn him into Doom, like where Doom has some levels, he has some insanity, but you don't have to have every villain as being, you know, someone hurt my kid or my cat or something like that. So.
They still haven't gotten Doom right. I mean,
They haven't done Doom at all. I mean, I can't. He's to me one of the most classic villains that you have in the
They've
Marvel
done
universe.
them, but
Oh well,
that's not Doom. I don't know
was
who that
done by
was.
Fox. We're talking about having it done by Marvel itself.
But
Like I
that's
said,
what everyone wants to do.
Well, they still haven't done I mean, if you look at it that, they still haven't done Magneto. I mean, again, I know we've already gotten off. I'm looking forward to the film. I'm hoping that Thanos will be cut in more of the classical villain mode where he's really trying to pull off something and the heroes need to stop him. Not just because he's doing it, but because they're trying to save us, the people. That's the reason why these guys are doing it in the first place. That's what it means to be a hero. I'm hoping that they can actually do that because I am at my zenith when it comes to tolerance of superheroes fighting superheroes. It's all throughout the comics. It's just really hard. It's really just hard to take at this point. It really is.
Well, that's I want to just add. If this movie, if Guardians of the Galaxy ends and the Avengers fight the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's good enough reason to leave the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of disagree because I mean, one of the most popular things on YouTube and on the web are heroes mashups, where you have heroes fighting one another, and you know, I know you guys don't like it, but people love to see that. That's why people buy the video games.
But that
you know,
that is not the purport and the purpose of comics. It's not. And the whole versus battle thing, I mean, it's like it's like Beethoven, okay? And you reduce Beethoven to 8 notes that everybody actually knows, and you call that the Ninth Symphony. That's what they do with the verses.
Same thing.
No, that's what they do with the versus battle. They take the scan. They just take a scan of whatever the battle is, and they argue that ad infinitum simply to see who can win. And they may enjoy it, but there's a whole story, okay, around that scan. It's not just about that, right? You have to be able to go with it.
But there's people who don't like it. Gentlemen, we've prolonged this way too long. We want to see Kevin. You my boy. You got my number. Call me. Let's get this Infinity Gauntlet thing right. Then, all right?
Ike.
You changing teams?
Yeah.
Ike, call me.
You tired of doing this? You changing teams?
Who did everything? Is it Kevin or Ike? Which one is
Spinner rack out.